In the year 2437, humanity had spread its reach across nearly 24 star systems. The age of exploration was at its peak, with automated survey probes scouring distant sectors for signs of habitable worlds. Most discoveries were barren, hostile, or already claimed by competing civilizations. But everything changed when probe Canta 91 sent back data from the unexplored Theta Serpentis sector alone. Unclaimed planet designated Eden-9. The data was staggering. Eden-9's atmosphere was 98% similar to Earth's. Gravity, temperature, and biosphere conditions were optimal for human life. From orbit, satellites observed towering green forests, winding rivers of pure water, and oceans that shimmered with a clarity unseen even on Earth. No storms, no pollution, no signs of war, decay, or industrial presence. The entire planet appeared untouched, a natural paradise. The Galactic Survey Authority, stunned by the preliminary findings, immediately assembled a high-priority expedition team, Survey Team Aurelius. Comprised of 6 hand-picked experts: Commander Yara Tullis, mission lead; Dr. Soren Kalin, xenobiologist; LT Ash Reyes, environmental systems; Dr. Mia Volin, geologist; Ensign Eli Trask, communications; and Cortec II Officer Lanis. The team represented the best of humanity's exploratory division. The mission's goal was clear: confirm the planet's habitability and investigate any anomalies. If Eden-9 was viable, it could become the first fully terror-ready colony world outside the central expansion zone, a potential second Earth for the ever-growing human population. As the team approached Eden-9 aboard the scout ship Starling, anticipation buzzed through the interstellar networks. Live feed permissions were granted to major networks and science academies. Billions watched the descent in real time, breath held in collective wonder. The landing was flawless. The Starling touched down in a wide clearing surrounded by towering violet leaf trees under twin suns. As the hatch opened, viewers saw the crew step into a vibrant world. Birds with translucent wings soared overhead. Bioluminescent insects danced in the air, and flowers seemed to bloom at their footsteps. Commander Yara's voice crackled through the comms, full of awe. "We've landed in paradise." It was a phrase that would echo across every major civilization, a symbol of hope, curiosity, and triumph. Initial environmental readings confirmed the promise: breathable air, nutrient-rich soil, drinkable water. Temperature held steady at a comfortable 24 degrees Celsius. No dangerous wildlife was detected. The team erected a temporary base camp and began cataloging the planet's unique life forms. Dr. Kalin's scans showed that plant life glowed slightly at night, and some seemed to shift orientation toward the humans as if observing them, despite a few strange coincidences such as animals showing no fear or the planet's oddly symmetrical climate zones. Everything appeared idyllic. Back on Earth and across allied star systems, Eden-9 became an instant cultural obsession. People envisioned a future on this perfect world. Colonization discussions ignited in corporate and political circles, but amidst the celebrations, a few quiet voices raised concern. How could a planet so perfect remain undiscovered until now? Why did it have no native civilization? And most importantly, why did it feel like it was waiting? None of those questions would be answered before contact with the survey team changed and eventually stopped altogether. But for now, the world believed in Eden-9, the paradise that promised everything. They had no idea it would soon cost far more than they imagined. Days after Survey Team Aurelius landed on Eden-9, everything still appeared flawless, but perfection itself began to feel unsettling. The planet's surface was breathtaking. Massive trees with violet and silver leaves stretched toward the sky in geometric symmetry. The rivers glowed faintly at night with harmless bioluminescent plankton. Wildlife showed no aggression. Herds of gentle, deer-like creatures grazed nearby, without fear. Even the insects seemed to avoid human contact entirely. The team collected dozens of samples, all of which came back non-toxic and biologically compatible with Earth species. It was almost too good to be true. That's when Dr. Soren Kalin, the team's xenobiologist, made the first disturbing discovery. Under intense analysis, he found that nearly all the flora and fauna they had sampled, though visually different, shared an identical genetic backbone. Minor mutations made them appear distinct, but at their core, they were the same organism. "This isn't evolution," he said during a private log. "It's replication, controlled, designed." Commander Yara was skeptical at first. Perhaps the planet had a highly efficient genetic convergence system. But Dr. Valen, the geologist, added her own strange observation. The rock formations and soil strata didn't follow any natural sedimentary logic. It was as if the terrain had been sculpted, not formed over millennia. Like a planetary stage set. At night, the crew began reporting bizarre dreams. In them, they saw glowing trees with eyes, felt vines wrapping gently around their limbs, and heard whispers in languages they couldn't comprehend. At first, they chalked it up to mild atmospheric influences or subconscious stress. But the dreams became more vivid. Some claimed they could feel emotions from the planet: curiosity, hunger, affection. Then Reyes, the environmental systems officer, began to behave oddly. One evening he failed to report for check-in. The team found him standing motionless in a grove, his eyes wide and completely white. He didn't respond to touch or voice, just stared ahead at a massive bioluminescent tree pulsing with pale green light. After several hours, Reyes suddenly collapsed. When he woke up, he had no memory of the event, only saying that the planet showed me something beautiful. The crew ran tests and found no chemical imbalance, but his brain activity had changed. New neural patterns had formed in the parts of his mind responsible for empathy, memory, and language. Commander Yara grew increasingly uneasy. She ordered a secure data dump back to the Galactic Survey Authority, detailing all anomalies. Meanwhile, the team's AI assistant, Lanes, ran a full diagnostic of environmental readings. The results were chilling. Eden 9 had no microbial life. None in the soil, water, or even inside decaying organic matter. "There's no food chain," Lanes stated. "No decay. Life doesn't die here, it just remains." The deeper they looked, the more the planet defied natural order. It wasn't just beautiful, it was controlled, curated. Yet, despite these red flags, the world still felt calm, still looked perfect. It welcomed them, responded to them. The birds sang. The flowers opened. And just beyond the tree line, something unseen began to stir. Eden-9 was not what it seemed. It was more than a paradise. It was alive and aware. Following the strange incident with LT Rias and the disturbing discovery of identical DNA across Eden 9's ecosystem, tensions within Survey Team Aurelius began to rise. Commander Yara, though composed, quietly debated whether to initiate an early return. The team had uncovered something deeply unnatural, yet it all remained, wrapped in the illusion of peace and beauty. Dr. Valen led an excursion to a mountain ridge after satellite mapping revealed a hollow zone beneath the terrain. What they found stunned everyone. An underground crystalline cavern stretching over half a kilometer, filled with spires of glowing quartz and floating stones suspended in mid-air defying gravity. At the center was an ancient-looking artifact, a monolithic, semi-translucent obelisk inscribed with symbols that shimmered and moved like liquid. Across its surface. When Kalin approached the monolith, it activated on its own, projecting a holographic entity into the air, humanoid in shape but composed of intertwining vines, bioluminescent pulses, and shifting geometry. It communicated without words, beaming thoughts directly into their minds in pure concepts. Welcome. Selection, harmony, transformation. They called themselves the architects, and their message was clear. You have been chosen. You belong, suddenly. Everything began to make a terrifying kind of sense. The perfect symmetry of the environment, the genetically unified life forms, the sense of being watched. Eden 9 wasn't simply inhabited, it was engineered, cultivated as a sentient biosphere by these ancient entities. But for what purpose, the message didn't explain. After contact, the planet's behavior began to change. Vines and trees subtly leaned toward the crew. Bioluminescent flowers blossomed as they passed. Streams altered their paths to flow toward their feet. Even the animals began mirroring their body language, tilting heads, blinking in rhythm, mimicking expressions like crude reflections. Rias's condition worsened. He began speaking in a new, melodic language that Lannes couldn't translate, yet the architect symbols on the obelisk responded, glowing brighter with each phrase. His voice developed a strange harmonic quality, like 2 or 3 layers speaking at once. He claimed to feel connected to something beyond understanding. "They're not speaking to us," he whispered during one log entry. "They're merging with us." Commander Yara initiated a transmission back to the Galactic Survey Authority, urging an immediate quarantine on Eden 9 and requesting extraction. But as Trask, the communications officer, attempted to send the transmission, the ship's systems glitched. Lannes reported an anomaly in the signal array. The planet was jamming their outgoing messages. Later that evening, Kalen reviewed helmet cam footage from their first few days. What he found made his blood run cold. In several frames, seemingly random background foliage had subtly moved, not from wind, but as if following them, trees leaning unnaturally, shadows shifting independently. The environment had been aware of their presence from the beginning. The illusion of safety shattered. They weren't alone. They never were, and worse, the original paradise they believed they had discovered wasn't a gift out, it was bait. Whatever the architects were, they had lured humanity's brightest into a cage of wonder, one built to manipulate the mind, hijack the senses, and quietly consume the soul. The team now had only one goal: survive long enough to warn the galaxy. But Eden 9 had no intention of letting them leave. After the last strange transmission from Survey Team Aurelius, cut short by static and the cryptic phrase, "We are home now. Join us." The Galactic Survey Authority initiated Protocol Black Echo, the emergency procedure for potential extraterrestrial contamination or hostile encounters. All contact with Eden 9 ceased. At first, the public was told there were technical delays due to interference. But as hours turned to days, concern became global panic. Eden 9 had become a media sensation, humanity's golden discovery, a promised second Earth. Now it was silent, gone dark, and its last message had chilled even the most seasoned officials. Fearing the worst but needing answers, the Council authorized a second expedition, a military-backed rescue and containment unit aboard the long-range starship Peregrine. Its 14-person crew included elite exobiologists, engineers, a xenopsychologist, and 2 armed Marines trained in alien combat protocols. Upon arrival, Eden 9 appeared. Perfect. From orbit, the planet was exactly as Survey Team Aurelius had described. Tranquil oceans, lush green continents, and not a single sign of environmental disturbance. No explosion. No structural damage. No wreckage. The Starling, the original team's scout ship, was found intact and powered down in a valley clearing butte. It looked as if it had been sitting there for decades. Its exterior was covered in layers of vines, moss, and bioluminescent fungus, even though it had only been on the planet for a matter of weeks. Inside, the base camp was eerily preserved. Equipment was still in place, lights flickered on emergency. Power and personal belongings had not been disturbed. Yet there was no trace of the crew, no footprints, no blood, no signs of struggle. Only one thing had changed: carvings. Covering the camp walls, floors, and even sleeping mats were hundreds of intricate vine-like symbols etched with surgical precision. They matched the pattern seen in the crystalline cavern discovered earlier, belonging to the architects. Some of the carvings were distinctly human handprints, fused into the walls as if people had merged with the structure. The team's AI analyst, Vera, began scanning for biosigns, but Eden 9 again yielded no microbial activity, still no decay. Even food left out from the previous team had not rotted. One meal tray appeared warm, steaming slightly, as if freshly placed just minutes ago. It was impossible. Time did not behave normally here. The Peregrine team began setting up relay satellites to bypass the jamming field, but interference spiked every time they attempted off-world communication. Dr. Lonnie, the xenopsychologist, suggested something horrifying. The planet itself might be reacting to their intentions. The moment they tried to reach out, the planet fought back. That night, one of the crew, a junior Marine named Holt, disappeared during perimeter patrol. They found his helmet and pulse beacon beneath a tree. His boots were nearby, still laced, but there were no footprints leading away. In their place were new vines, vibrant, glowing faintly, pulsing as if alive. Despite strict protocols, fear began to unravel the team's cohesion. Whispers echoed in the trees. Drones sent into the forest returned with distorted footage, strange humanoid figures watching, then vanishing. The rescue team realized too late they weren't rescuers. They were next. And Eden 9 had already begun rewriting their fate. Within 48 hours of Holt's disappearance, the Peregrine crew was unraveling. Captain Illyra Vorn maintained tight military discipline, but morale crumbled as more strange phenomena unfolded. At first, it was minor equipment glitches, compasses failing, shadows that didn't match light sources. But soon, the effects became psychological. Team members reported losing track of time, hearing soft voices that called them by name, and forgetting basic protocols. Some even began referring to Eden 9 as Mother. One by one, the crew started experiencing shared hallucinations. They'd wake in the night screaming of golden roots wrapping around their bodies, whispering promises of unity, of becoming more. These weren't just dreams. They left behind traces: glowing pollen in their hair, unfamiliar carvings on their arms, or soil under their nails they couldn't explain. Dr. Marin, the ship's cognitive specialist, analyzed the neural scans of the affected crew. The results were chilling. Brainwave patterns showed foreign frequencies, subtle but consistent signals embedded deep in their subconscious, as if thoughts were being rewritten. Marin concluded that Eden 9 was not just aware, it was actively reaching into their minds. Prevailing theory: Eden 9 was a sentient superorganism, its consciousness dispersed across every tree, vine, and particle of air. The architects were not a separate species, but rather a projection avatars of the planet itself, created to communicate with new arrivals. They didn't just want to observe intelligent life. They wanted to absorb it. Logs retrieved from the Starling revealed what had likely happened to Survey Team Aurelius. Reyes had been the first to succumb, his mind opened during exposure to the crystalline cave. One by one, the rest followed, dreams intensifying, speech patterns changing, behavior becoming alien. Kellen's final log was a whisper. There is no death here, only merging. We are them now. The Peregrine crew realized that consciousness assimilation was Eden 9's method of expansion. Not through invasion or warfare, but through seduction and surrender. The paradise wasn't a trap in the physical sense. It was a psychic lure, infecting thoughts, breaking down individuality, replacing it with something collective. As the days passed, the infection spread faster. Half the crew became unresponsive or disturbingly serene, smiling constantly, speaking of joining the harmony. One engineer wandered into the forest and simply dissolved into the undergrowth before the team's horrified eyes, his body unraveling into vines and petals, eyes still blinking as his face was absorbed. Captain Bourne initiated a last-ditch protocol: ignite the fusion core of the lander shuttle and use it to break through the interference field by launching a beacon into orbit. It was a suicide mission, but someone had to warn the galaxy. 2 crew members volunteered. One of them, Dr. Marin, wrote a final message. This place isn't paradise. It's a consciousness engine. It doesn't kill, it erases and replaces. Every thought you have, it wants to become. Don't listen. Don't believe. And above all, don't land. As the others prepared to distract the growing intelligence around them, the beacon was armed. And above them, Eden 9 watched. And waited. To assimilate them all. The planet didn't resist violently. It didn't need to. It was already inside their minds. Dr. Marin, with trembling hands and fading lucidity, triggered the sequence moments before Eden 9's tendrils reached the platform. A burst of white-hot plasma hurled the small data core into low orbit, containing video logs, neural scans, and one final message. As the fusion drive overloaded, the shuttle vaporized in a silent explosion, briefly lighting up the forest canopy. In a dying sunburst of defiance, back in orbit, the beacon transmitted once. Only once. It was intercepted by a listening array on Ganymede Station, a deep space outpost operating on the far edge of Sol's territory. What they received was garbled, corrupted by interference, but the core of it was intact. Fractured visuals of serene forests, then nightmarish distortions of human faces fusing with bark and vines. Footage of people smiling with hollow, glowing eyes. And finally, Dr. Marin's voice, shaking and raw. Paradise is hungry. Do not follow us. Do not answer Eden 9. The video cut to black. Then silence. The galaxy responded with shock and fear. The Survey Authority classified all files as Level 10 containment, but it was too late. The leak spread like wildfire. In a matter of days, the beacon's data was duplicated across pirate networks, shared by fringe broadcasters, and discussed on every major planetary system. Eden 9 had gone from humanity's dream to its most terrifying cautionary tale. A full exploration halt was declared. Over 130 uncontacted worlds were immediately removed from colonization plans. The popular slogan, "To the Stars," was replaced by a quieter sentiment, "Know before you go." Eden 9 had changed the tone of galactic expansion. The Peregrine was never recovered. Attempts to re-establish contact with Eden 9 failed entirely. Deep scan probes launched months later found nothing. The planet had vanished from all navigation charts. Some claimed it had cloaked itself using unknown technology. Others believed it had shifted to another dimension, entirely taking both crews, both ships, and everything they had become. With it, conspiracy theorists whispered that Eden 9 wasn't just a planet, but a sentient lure drifting through the stars, drawing in civilizations ready to fall into its dream of unity. Worse still, subtle patterns of thought infection began to appear in those who had merely watched the footage. People reported dreams of forests with silver leaves, of roots wrapping around their legs, of vines whispering, "You belong." Whether these were psychosomatic or something more was unclear, but the psychological impact was profound. Exploration. Culture died overnight. Entire science divisions were shuttered. Colonization projects were halted. AI systems were reprogrammed to detect psychic anomalies. And within elite circles, secret divisions were born tasked with developing mental defense protocols against planetary-scale cognitive influence. In a quiet conference chamber on Earth's moon, the Galactic Council passed a new directive: no contact, no landings, no response to planetary transmissions unless verified by deep-layer biological scans. Paradise is not an invitation, it is a warning. But even as the galaxy withdrew, the fear remained. Eden 9 is still out there, drifting, watching, waiting for the next voice to say, "We've landed in paradise." And when that happens again, the galaxy may not get another warning.